Good morning, Saints. This is a rant for the ages. um, so, as and trigger warning, abuse, sexual assault. Bleh. As many of you know, I am a survivor of some freakish military sexual trauma. So freakish that I didn't even really know that it was sexual trauma until I started going to therapy, and my therapist was like, "Bitch, that's sexual trauma, and it's bad." And my abuser was a woman. If you want the details of everything that happened to me, I did an entire video series in 2020, basically blowing the whistle. I shared my story and the stories of 3 of her other victims, and I put her name out there too. And back in 2020, I rattled up the Air Force a little bit. They got really shooken up, and it made it to some pretty important people that claimed that they would do something about it. And then, true to, government and Air Force and shit, and problems with women of color, nothing was done, which sent me into one of the deepest depressions of my life, and I just kind of retracted from it. So this has been sitting with me for the last 2 weeks, and it culminated in a bullshit day yesterday. 2 weeks ago, I got a message from a certain Air Force base, an Airman Defense Council from a certain Air Force base, telling me that they found that video series, and that they thought that my testimony would be very, very, very influential and very important for a client that they had that was actually getting kicked out of the Air Force by this woman, because, like I said, nothing was done. This client is still employed in the United States Air Force as an officer, and and so they were like, this should help with the case. So I did. I was I got in touch with them and everything, and agreed basically to testify, to potentially fly out to that base to tell my story. And they were kind of like, we noticed that this is a pattern with her, and this would be a great opportunity for you to, again, tell your story again, and actually have a, and have a platform again for that. Even though I could tell my story anytime, I have a few million followers. I could do it anytime. I just don't, because it's not something that I want to revisit all the time. But I agreed to, because this was going to help somebody. And I wish that when I was going through the shit that I was going through with her, that's the people around, that people wouldn't have been chicken shit, and they would have stood up for me, that they would have helped me. But nobody did. And as a result, I wasn't kicked out of the Air Force, but I did leave, and my health is nowhere near it. It's deteriorated so much, and I'm gonna have to do so many years of work to recover. I'm still recovering. And so I agreed. Mind you, I'm holding business meetings. I'm having business meetings. I'm flying out to California to shoot this short film. I'm doing all of this stuff, working while having this on my mind, on my spirit, and I'm having panic attacks, nightmares, flashbacks, because I'm being re-traumatized, because I'm remembering all these things that happened to me, all these things that she did. We had a few phone calls where I gave some details, and it was hard. It was really fucking hard. Just saying the words, and just having those memories, just having I had extra therapy sessions just to get through it, and I resolved that I was gonna do this, possibly fly out there. I didn't know if she was gonna be in the room when I testified in this board, which was where I was going to testify. I was gonna testify in this board. Problem number 1, after our phone call, I didn't hear from them for a week, and so I didn't know if I was flying out or not. I didn't know, and the board was yesterday. I didn't hear from them until the night before, where I was literally out with a girlfriend having wine at a wine bar to prepare in anticipation of the rough day that I was going to have tomorrow. I didn't answer. I told them to call me the next day, because boundaries. And they called me the next morning, gave some fucking apology, and I was like, okay, whatever, what's the deal today? Obviously, I'm not flying out because it's the day of. And they told me that they just basically do a phone call, that I'd be cross-examined. Didn't know that. Didn't know I'd be cross-examined by both sides, the client versus the government. Didn't know that. Didn't know that the jury would be questioning me. Didn't know that. Which was a whole new level of terror, because I'm like, oh, the last thing I need right now is for one more person to have another experience where someone is like, oh, don't you think maybe you brought that on yourself and you're overreacting, after I've done years of therapy to, cut that shit out of my head. And so they said, we don't know when it's going to happen. So basically I was going to have to wait around all day. And so I did. I stayed in my bedroom. I just tried to stay calm. I did a few skits. I was surprised I was able to do a few skits. And then I got a text saying, basically, LOL, JK, we don't need you to testify. We won't be calling you as a witness. After 2 weeks of mentally preparing, because this person, it's not even a person, this person is not a person, this monster is the reason I have PTSD. This monster is the reason I have to take so much medication every day. This monster is the reason I am disabled. And I have had to gear myself up for 2 weeks as an abuse victim, getting ready to tell this entire story over again. The story that took 20 pages, single-spaced, to type out. For 2 weeks. For nothing. All that pain, the panic, the extra medication for 2 weeks, the absolute disregard still shown. Part of me is like, why did I think that the United Air Force in any way, even when it seemed very plain and straightforward, why did I think that they would ever do the right thing? Why did I think that they would ever show any concern for the victims in and out of uniform, or who were once in uniform? Why did I think that they would care? I kind of felt like a fool. I was in shock. I cried for about 10 seconds. And I think that right now, the part of my brain that processes and shows emotions, I feel like it's turned off. I don't feel anything. I feel numb. I feel empty. I feel hollow. But I know myself, and I feel like the emotion center is turned off. My brain is just doing what it has to do to get through this difficult realization. And when the emotion center turns back on, it's going to be bad. And I don't know how that's going to manifest. You might not see me for a few days posting, because I might be taking mental health days. I'm telling you guys this because the last time I took a few mental health days, people were doing goddamn wellness checks. Like, is Nikki okay? She hasn't done any content on Loki, and Loki's still running. Yeah, I feel like that part of my brain is shut off. I don't have any point to make. I think the story speaks for itself, that they drug me through all this re-traumatization for 2 weeks just to be like, actually, no. I don't know what other point I can make except for the outcome of the story itself. I'm sure at some point I will cry about this. Maybe in a few minutes when I'm about to go meet a girlfriend for brunch, to talk about this and process this and have a support system and just kind of get this out of my system. That's what I've been dealing with for the past 2 weeks. In the midst of being an actor, creating content, holding business meetings. Part of me is curious to see how how the right brain is gonna behave when it turns back on, because it's not on right now. I think it's in a weird fight, flight, or freeze. I think I'm in freeze right now, a very calm state of freeze. I'm in a calm state of freeze. I'm not looking forward to when that turns off. I will say, and one of my friends echoed this, that this is why abuse victims don't step forward. This is why abuse victims don't say anything. This is why abuse victims don't report shit. This is why abuse victims don't show up to court. This is why abuse victims don't take their abusers to court. Because shit like this happens. And it's not just hurt feelings that happens. Post-traumatic stress, especially in the form of disorder, is a physical... It's an injury that manifests in a physical way and mental way, and the risk of re-traumatization and the hurt that comes from experiences like these can be too much. It can be too much. So off I go to drown this in mimosas and bellinis.